Well there, hello everyone. It's nice to have you with me for the next little bit. Today's program is longer, a lot longer than they normally have been, because it's on the DGR. That's the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride. Now, anybody who's involved with motorcycles will know that this ride happens once a year. This year it was on May 15th and happened around the world on exactly the same date. Now, here in Taiwan, granted the event itself is not as large as, for example, what you might find in other countries or in other cities, it still has been growing year on year. The three cities that took part for this one, as always, are Taipei, Taichung, and Kaohsiung, with the largest group of riders all coming together in Taipei. I'm a little bit sad actually for the organizers in some of the other cities like Taichung and Kaohsiung, because there's riders from those cities that come up here to take part in the Taipei one. So when I headed off Sunday morning, it was still rather early. As you can see on the expressway, there was very, very little traffic. And I was heading to the second meeting point. I say the second meeting point because a lot of the riders that were in Taipei itself met at Triumph Motorcycles, which is located in an area of Taipei called Neihu, and then made their way to Bali. I think we've even talked about Bali in a previous interview. So the actual starting point of the ride was in Bali. And when I showed up, as you can see, there were only a few bikes. It was still rather early. It was just after 9 o'clock in the morning. So the riders who had already left Neihu at that point, it was about maybe 45 minutes or so before everybody arrived. So some were coming directly here. This is at a place called Tone Up. The owner of the place is the organizer for Taipei on this. But as you can see, over the course of the hour, it just started getting more and more busy. To the point where actually I was kind of a little bit shocked at how busy and how quick it got. And what was actually quite interesting was the kind of bikes that you saw. I mean, you can see right now the usual ones, Harley Davidson, the big ones, and Yamaha, Suzuki's, all the powerful bikes. But at the same time, then you had small little scooters and classic Vespa scooters like this two-stroke that you're going to see. So it really was a mishmash of almost anything. So this is about maybe 30 minutes before the ride itself started to set out. To be honest, I was a little bit worried because we've been having quite a bit of rain. But luckily, skies cleared up. It did rain that evening though, but luckily, by that time, everything was over. So as you can see, it was like more and more people gathering. Let's now just take a look at some of the pictures before we move on to the next segment. Then it was time to set off to the final meeting point. And for this, I decided, let's just show it the way it is. And by the way, before we got to the main road, there are quite a few traffic lights. So if you see a little bit of editing, that's because there's nothing more boring than watching a red light for more than a minute before it changes green. So I cut out all those wait times at the red lights. So anyway, I hope you enjoy this. on the left of you is the Linko power station. And right next to the Linko power station is a very famous temple, which actually on the weekends and during certain events is very busy. That was actually the final meeting point. So this is probably around, I think, between 15 and 18 kilometers or so from Tone Up, where we began. So coming up here, we're going to be turning left and heading to the temple itself. And during the ride, as you probably could see, I was speeding up and trying to pass everybody else. And that's only because I wanted to get there before everybody else arrived. Even though there was a lot of parking, it actually wasn't for that, because I wanted to capture all the other bikes as they were coming in. I even did, actually, on one of the past videos that we did, I think I even recorded one at this temple, or maybe one or two at this temple. It's a nice place. We're not going to see the temple this time. On the side of the road as we're going up, before we go into the grounds where this event is taking place, with some people, as you can see on the side, taking some pictures. Now, I should mention that, yes, this is a temple, but the event itself for the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride was actually not at the temple itself, but at the community center that was built right next to it. Now, the community center actually is a very interesting history. It was designed by a French designer and was donated to this area, I can't remember how many years ago now. Definitely more than 5. It's definitely more than 5 years ago. So on the left is right now, at this very point, is the Linko power station. Which, of course, if that goes out, this whole area of Taiwan and even Taipei will be without power. It's one of the major power sources here in the north. There we go. We're just about to turn in now. And as I said, this temple is actually rather busy, and sometimes on the weekends when there's events that are taking place, you'd be surprised how much traffic and cars are going in just because of the temple. So there on the left is the Linko power station, and then very in its shadow, like kind of microscopic, is this rather big temple. There was an activity taking place, which is the reason why you see a lot of the tour buses. The tour buses are obstructing the view of the temple. That's the community center right there in the center that was designed by a chap from France. And we're now going into the parking area. Now, I'm just going to let this video run, but if you have never taken part in a distinguished gentleman's ride, it's something that I suggest that you do. It's for a good cause. It's to raise money for prostate cancer and men's mental health. And they have raised millions so far since it started more than 10 years ago. And all you need to do to sign up is just go to distinguishedgentlemanrides.com. And if there's actually any riders that you know that took part in this year's, in any part of the world, you can actually still make donations and still sponsor the riders until June. I can't remember the date. I believe, I could be mistaken here, but I believe it's June 10th. But just go to the website and you'll find the information. You'll also be able to find them on Facebook as well, and see pictures from other rides that took place around the world on May the 19th. Now, before you ask me, is it always on May the 19th? No, it's not. It's always in May, usually. The date for next year I haven't been able to find yet on their website, but I'm sure that, it will come there very soon. It's free to sign up, and any kind of bike is welcome. I mean, as you can see, this is at the ending point, and more bikes kept showing up over the next couple of hours. But you name it, It is there. I mean, you don't have to have a bike that's super, super expensive. People were showing up on vintage scooters. There were actually, it was really funny. There was a couple of motorcycles that were there that honestly looked like they'd been through, well, some kind of a war, or they were found in the scrap heap. They were just old bikes that I've seen these riders before, and they take them out for events like this. So it's not just for a good, worthy cause, but also if you want to go and look at bikes and see all kinds of things. It's also a lot of fun for that. But I have to honestly say that when I was checking out the other rides that were taking place in other parts of the world, you'll find a lot of Harley Davidsons and Indians. Here, however, to be honest, the one in Taiwan, I would have to say there is definitely more a variety of bikes than you'd probably find in a lot of the other rides that are taking place around the world. There's one bike that you're going to see in a little bit that is a bike that actually I have been trying to buy myself for a very long time. It's an old Kawasaki two-stroke that came out like 100 years ago. Green. No, it's not that green one. It's a different green one. Quite fascinating and, quite noisy. This is the first time I've ever seen this parking lot this full. As I said, this is the first year that I've done it. In previous years, I don't remember. I think it was either I was too busy or I wasn't in Taiwan at the time. I was probably somewhere else, but I didn't take part.
Yes, very.
So this is roughly probably around 1:30, 1:45 in the afternoon, and riders are still coming in. There was also an area where you can bring your bike and with the backdrop of the Distinguished Gentleman ride take a picture. This is inside the community center. There was some old Triumph bikes there, some old British bikes, Nortons. Lambretta, the Italian scooter brand, had a display in the back, and then there was a concert that was taking place in the evening, which I think ended at something at like 6:30 or 7 o'clock. I couldn't stay for the entire thing because I had something else that I had to do. But yeah. Anyway, do go and check them out. Distinguished Gentleman's Ride. Sign up for next year. Or, if you know somebody who took part, sponsor them, donate some money. It's all going to a good cause for prostate cancer and men's mental health. Longer video than normal, but I think it's interesting. I hope you do as well. Anyway, like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.